Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Coming up, tips to help your teens become better drivers. But first, tonight, more competition coming to aisle 6. The grocery business is changing, and tonight we get answers to your questions about the things you like and maybe the things you don't like about your local grocery store. Joining us is Jeff Metzger. He is the publisher of Food World and Food Trade News. Jeff, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So you're the longtime publisher of this trade publication. You know everything about the business, which we want to talk about. But the thing I want to start with is bananas. So the Walmart near where I live does a terrific job with bananas. You walk in there, and there's always a big display, and the bananas are nice and yellow. The old-time grocery store near me, they're always green. They look like avocados. You think they're just never going to ripen. How can that be?
Well, a store that's well merchandised should actually have green bananas and yellow bananas. There are consumers who like them a little less ripe, and there's some that like them overripe. The store that has only green bananas doesn't allow them to ripen long enough. There's a very complex process, banana ripening rooms, that allow the bananas to release the gas and allow the bananas to ripen. And that's always should be the mainstream item in any grocery store.
It's just interesting to me that Walmart, or at least this particular Walmart, does a really good job with that. And some other more traditional stores don't. And I guess it's a sign that Walmart is taking this, as they force their way into the grocery business, they're taking that seriously.
Bananas, #1 item in the produce department, so there's a lot of focus and there's a lot of priority on making sure, there should be, on making your bananas ripen properly.
All right, so the big news, the real news in your industry and your paper has been Amazon's deal to acquire Whole Foods. Why is Amazon buying Whole Foods?
Several reasons. #1, they've needed to get in the traditional bricks and mortar business for some time. They have a commanding lead in the online delivery business over everybody else in that business, and there aren't that many others, especially in food. Amazon has been ramping up their food priority in terms of serving their large customer base. But one thing they didn't have is a bricks and mortar presence, which their main rival, Walmart, has always had.
Well, what's your guess? In 5 years, is Whole Foods going to be completely different? I mean, is Walmart going to leave it alone and maybe add on a place to pick up your Amazon packages and maybe sell some Whole Foods products, online? What's their end game?
Well, I think it's difficult to radically change the bricks and mortar part of the business, the four walls. Whole Foods has done relatively well over a 25-year period, a little less so in the last few years. Its stock price has also been negatively affected by some of the criticism. They've grown very rapidly. So there could be a little belt tightening going on, but it's very difficult to change the nature of a business that's very capital intensive and very labor intensive. Where I would anticipate the change is the add-ons, the value added piece that Amazon can bring. Could they use their stores as sort of mobile delivery hubs? A big piece, especially with millennials, of having stuff delivered online, and food is a growing area that a lot of companies are seeking. So having the bricks and mortar piece allows that. It also allows, from a business perspective, Amazon to maybe tamper Walmart's growth. Walmart was essentially a bricks and mortar business for a long time. They did have an online presence. About a year and a half ago, they acquired another large digital company called Jet.com. That put them in the big leagues of the online delivery business, and I think Amazon needed to sort of catch up in that area.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about the grocery business or how you would like to see your local grocery store change, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You could also tweet your questions. The Twitter address is @MPT News. Help me understand the business. So in the beginning around here, Giant Food was the dominant player, and now they have all this competition. So we talked about the discounters, but there's also Wegmans. There are the German deep discount Aldi and
now Lidl coming in.
You have all sorts of niche, organic stores, and this is a pretty competitive business.
Well, it used to be, first of all, there was a lot less competition in terms of sheer number of stores. And in the old days, going back 20, 25 years ago, the supermarkets were the encroachers. They're the ones who added pharmacies and floral departments. And in the last 10 to 15 years, there's been a lot more niche marketing, as you stated. So you've got some big boxes like Wegmans that still fall within the traditional supermarket end, but a different permutation of that. And you've also got very, very specialized players, the discounters, Lidl just entering, Aldi been very successful. You've got the club store players, which originally billed themselves as serving restaurants and small businesses, but most of their business is done by everyday consumers. You have drug chains now selling a lot more food. If you look at page 1 of the Sunday ad at Walgreens or CVS, mostly the page 1 products are food related, food and beverage. So everybody wants to get in the game because it's a high traffic area. It's made the traditional grocers much more vulnerable.
Let's take a phone call, and then we'll get to your list of who are the big players by market share. Very interesting. Anne Arundel County, this is David. David, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
I understand, I'm from the AMP days, but I understand there's a big giant coming on board from Germany, Lidl, that's going to take over the markets. Could you talk a little bit about them, and thank you for taking my call?
Thanks, David. Lidl, people may have been in an Aldi store, which is, they don't sell Fruit Loops, they sell Fruity Loops, that sort of thing.
That's correct.
Is Lidl the same?
Pretty much. So Lidl and Aldi compete very ferociously in Europe, in many, many countries. Aldi has been in the U.S. since 1976. Lidl is just entering. They've opened their first batch of stores in Virginia and the Carolinas. Stores will be coming to Maryland probably starting later this year and into next year. They have very ambitious plans. Very much like an Aldi. The difference is the Lidl U.S. model is going to be a little more perishably oriented. There will be fresh meat. There will be a bigger produce area, but very much the same in terms of private labels and discount pricing.
York, Pennsylvania, this is Barry. Barry, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Yeah, I shop at a local Giant up here. And I've learned where everything was in a Giant. I go in a week later, everything's changed. Takes me twice as long to shop. Why is that? I just soon go to a family market.
Barry, great phone call. I've thought that there ought to be an app for that. There's one new Giant that has particularly long aisles. I mean, they go for half a mile, and you have just no idea what's down there.
Well, part of it is the evolution of store design, and part of it is sort of the re-engineering of departments. So, believe it or not, the category management of the business, where certain products go, is very scientifically done. And from time to time, there will be a better mousetrap unveiled, at least according to the company, that we ought to put pasta with pasta sauce, not pasta sauce with the vegetables. So it is confusing. I know retailers are trying to create mobile apps to give store design, so when things do change, you can actually get the map layout of that individual store. But it is confusing, and it does change.
Okay, so I promised we'd look at the list. So Giant is still number 1, 16% market share. Number 2 is far below, Safeway down at 7%. Walmart up at right behind them, 7.01. Shoppers is still big. Weiss Markets, Wegmans, and CVS at number 7. I'm surprised by that because they're not competing on price at all, purely convenience.
Number of locations. If you look at the number of CVS stores, the quantity of stores is
So it
times
changes
that.
every day, too.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
growing, and in the past year, CVS assumed the in-store pharmacy business for Target. So when you go to a Target now, the actual pharmacy is CVS run and CVS branded. So CVS is a big player, and much like a convenience store, a lot of small doses create a big pile at the end of the day.
Baltimore City, this is Roberta. Roberta, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes. Why are onions skinned so thoroughly? They don't keep well that way. They don't ship well that way. And every store I've talked to says that's how they are shipped. And
I'm sorry, what are they doing to the onions?
Yes, I'm really upset that I can hardly ever buy onions with skin still on them. They don't keep more than a day or two practically.
Thank you very much.
I have to look hard.
Well, we'll find out. Where would you go for some, the best produce?
Well, rather than the best produce, I think the most consistent produce in the market, and they're not everywhere, is probably Wegmans. Now, there's other very good operators, but from a consistency profile and a variety profile, Wegmans, because of the size of the store and the attention to training the associates, has always done a very good job. And Roberta, I wish I could help you. That shouldn't really happen. There's a way to store onions and keep them fresh and dry before they reach the shelf. That shouldn't be happening, but clearly it is.
Let's go out to Prince George's County. This is Peter. Peter, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm concerned about farm-raised seafood versus the wild. Why is there actually so much farm-raised in the wild?
Thanks very much. Is that, it's for consistency of sourcing, perhaps?
Part of it is consistency. Part of it is availability. There's basically no Atlantic salmon, wild Atlantic salmon left. That's a fully farm-raised product. Now, Pacific salmon, Alaskan salmon, that's a different species, and that is available wild. And I think aquaculture down the road, because of overfishing, is going to be more and more critical. And the industry is looking at a more scientific approach on how to raise seafood and improve overall aquaculture. So a lot of it is just simply a supply issue.
It is interesting that Atlantic salmon, you would assume, has been in the Atlantic at some point. It is not. It's the type of salmon. It could have been raised on a farm near the Pacific.
Right. Well, it's all farm raised. It is a specific species of fish, and Atlantic salmon, for the most part, you'll find raised on farms in Canada, in Scandinavia, in Chile. There are countries that are almost linked to farm raising seafood.
So who's winning the grocery wars? Who's gaining market share these days?
There's not a lot of gain in the last couple of years. The gridlock, the overstoring has been very, very intense in the past year. You guys have probably read about this. There was tremendous deflation. Commodity products such as eggs and dairy products, meat, actually went through some deflation. So it's been a very, very challenging year. I think the difficulty that all retailers are having is too many stores, which is a wonderful thing for consumers, not so wonderful for the merchants themselves.
Let's get one last call. Montgomery County, this is Janet. Janet, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering, I'm 77. I spend a lot of money when I go to the grocery store. I guess I'm a food addict. Why can't they put in benches for the elderly? I'm not talking about at the front where you check out. I'm talking about, on this end and that end. Give us a chance to sit down. I'm having to drag a little stool with me when I go in.
That's a great question. Janet, best of luck to you. Thanks very much. Maybe you might find one near the pharmacy.
Yeah, the pharmacy, more supermarkets today are having food service areas where you can kind of grab and go. But for the most part, I think the industry values the real estate in the store as usable, shoppable, rather than utilizing the space for something like that, which is a great idea, but I think would be a tough sell.
Here's my last gripe. When you go in to buy a pound of ground beef, you can't just buy a pound of ground beef. Every package is 1.1 pounds of ground beef. Have you ever written about that in your public? Is that something, obviously they're selling just a little bit more ground beef, but...
Part of it is marketing, absolutely, and part of it is there's a lack of butchers, so a lot of this stuff is either done at a central plant or even in the back of the store brought out in bulk. But there's certainly a marketing angle to the fact that the package is 1.12 pounds rather than 1.0 pounds. No question about it.
Well, this was fun. Jeff Metzger, publisher of Food World. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Jeff.
We appreciate it. Coming up tonight, helping your teen become a safer driver. We'll be right back.
Got an unused vehicle going nowhere? Donate it to the one place that can take you any place. Visit mpt.org/vehicles and support the programs you love on MPT.
The MPT app puts our programs right at your fingertips, so you can choose when to watch, what to watch, wherever you want to watch it. Download it now.
What happens in Japan and Asia matters to me. And with NHK World's newsroom in Tokyo, I get the news live from Japan right at the start of my day.
New ideas come out of Asia all the time. NHK Newsline reports on business, technology, and world events from Tokyo to Bangkok.
Once in the morning gives me a heads up on the competition.
Every hour on the hour, the news I want from Asia.
Watch NHK World now on Comcast Channel 268 and Verizon Channel 480.
Are you turning 70 and a half this year? If so, you generally have to start spending down your retirement account. Even the minimum distribution can place you in a sticky situation. Luckily, you can now use your IRA to make tax-free gifts. Gifts up to $100,000 will never count as income, but always make a difference. That's icing on the cake.
Make your gift for this year before December 31st. Visit mpt.org/support.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
And joining us for this week's Your Health segment is Dr. Richard Lichtenstein, a professor of pediatrics at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and a pediatrician at the University of Maryland Children's Hospital. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
We want to focus on kids driving, teenagers getting their license, and it's a rite of passage. It's also incredibly risky and the leading cause of death for teenagers.
Yes, it's really incredible that we have a risk factor that almost every parent has to go through. It's a rite of passage, but it could also be, one of the most riskiest times of a child's life.
Is there something about the 16-year-old brain stage of development that makes it so risky, or is it anybody learning to drive for the first time, even if they were 26, who would be still an amateur for a while?
It's a combination. Actually, both things are quite important. The teenage brain is a very different, some of us never grow up, and at 16, the frontal lobe is really not developed, and the decision-making processes that are needed are just really not there. It's really, and that, coupled with the fact that driving is complex and the experience that you need to do it, makes driving actually quite risky and difficult for those that are starting out.
How do they most often get into trouble?
Well, I think, one, they don't really sort of estimate or think, because they haven't lived through these experiences before, of how to move through traffic and kind of estimating their distance from other cars. So all of these are factors. And then there's other circumstances that they may not have ever encountered. It might be uncomfortable for them to drive at night. It might be uncomfortable for them to drive with bad weather. And then in 2017, we have all of these toys and distractions and things that can't wait. So teenagers have this thought, like many of us do, that we can multitask, and they really can't, and they're being bombarded with all sorts of information for already a difficult task, the task of driving.
Yeah, we just saw somebody live stream a crash, which is crazy. How did this become an area of interest for you?
Well, my wife and I are both pediatricians. We both, raised two kinds of drivers. My daughter seemed to get it. My son, maybe not so much. We both, as teachers and pediatricians, had different kind of teaching skills, or some were more patient, some maybe less patient, and we kind of figured it out that we must not be the only ones to go through this, and maybe as pediatricians there's something we can offer and do. So we became interested in Howard County. There was a parking permit program that we both are residents and became involved in, at least having parents and their children attending an educational session, because we really think that parents are probably the key ingredient in this mix.
It's a program where if the teenager is fortunate to have a vehicle, they're not allowed to park it at school unless they've taken some additional education with the parent or a parent right there.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, so we really think that involvement of parents was what, as pediatricians, it's hard enough to be involved with your teenager, and this is such an important time that you really shouldn't be stepping away, you should be stepping forward.
The parent who's doing most of the instructing, despite the requirement for driver's ed, the parent may not necessarily be a great driver. The parent may not necessarily have great habits in terms of putting down the cell phone and so forth.
Yeah, and that's been documented very well, that they're always looking. The teens are always looking, so your bad habits are being imprinted upon their brains, so when they have bad habits, you're partly to blame too.
Let's grab a phone call from Harford County. This is Paul. Paul, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to state that that I got my license in 1961 when I was 16 years old, and I know that even though the brains are the same at 16 then and 16 now, I think there were some more things that distracted people nowadays, and I believe it has to do with the cell phones and anything connected with it, trying to take selfies while we're driving.
Yeah, no question about it. Paul, thank you very much for the phone call. You're working on an effort that involves a sticker that's going to be handed out at some restaurants?
Yeah, so we believe, again, that the parents really are important, and they're modeling behavior. They're even to the point of kind of creating a parent-teen driving contract, so that driving should be considered a privilege, and so that if you don't follow the rules of the road, if you're texting, if you're eating, if you're speeding, if you're not driving well, if you're driving past your curfew, parents should really take the keys away. So not only are they the teachers, but they really are the parents. And so this promotion, drive with your, with your children, they'll love you later, is really kind of emphasizing that. And we really are very grateful for the restaurants that are sharing our message via stickers on their go bags.
The laws, at least in Maryland, have progressively tightened over the years. They don't make them parallel park anymore at the exam, but the number of hours that they're supposed to have behind the wheel with an adult, that's gone up. Is there anything else you would like to see?
Well, I think we tried to get the curfew to be changed. We have in Maryland a graduated driver's license, and so right now the curfew is at midnight, but we really would have liked to see it at 10 p.m. A lot of 57% of crashes happen, before that midnight. So anything that we can prevent, we had 21 deaths of young drivers in 2015, which was a 75% increase. So anything we can do to lower those numbers, like something as simple as changing the curfew so that less bad things happen really late at night, we think that's a good thing.
And the period of time before they're allowed to have passengers in the car.
Well, that's still, been the same. To be a provisional license, you cannot have anything other than like a relative for work or something like that. So,
what else can parents do? So they can model good behavior, they can make sure the vehicle's safe, and keep an eye on things. From an educational standpoint, is there anything else you would suggest?
practice, practice, practice. The more that you're out on the road, the more circumstances, even if you don't feel comfortable, you may think to yourself, I don't really like him on the highway, I don't really like him on these dark, windy roads. Those are exactly the types of practice circumstances that need to happen before they're out on their own and other things may kind of intervene.
Let's squeeze in another call. Adams County, Pennsylvania. This is Dominique. Go ahead with your question.
Well, it's not a question, it's a comment.
Please.
I am from Europe, and in Europe, you're allowed to start driving with driving school at 18 years old, number one. Number two, after that, you have to drive with an adult at all time until you're 21.
Dominique, thank you for that. We're short on time, but would you go that far?
Well, I think it's something to think about. I think, there's certainly a safety period in this young driver period where the parent as the co-driver really lends to less accidents, but at some point, we have a bit of a different culture to work with. So I think, anything that we can do to sort of really make this, period of time supervised but workable for all is a good one.
Well, it's good for everybody to hear about it. Dr. Richard Lichtenstein, Professor of Pediatrics at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate that, and thank you for joining us for Direct Connection. We're back Thursday with Your Money in Business. Have a good night.
Your health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.